chatting with the Khan twins.
Sage you folks first. I'm not sure what energy you're bringing in, but this is a sacred space, so we just have to sage first. So just make sure you keep any bad vibes away from us. Thanks. Bye.
Welcome, KBs. Welcome to the Khancept. We'll never lie to you.
First video podcast of our podcast, and we're called the Khancept. The idea here is to question your concepts, because if you're not questioning everything you've been told in your entire life, then what are you doing? But you shouldn't be watching this then if you're not interested in growth. If you're brave enough to want change and you're courageous enough to actually implement that change and make those changes in your life, it will feel like you're losing something. It will feel like you're losing people. It'll feel like you're losing who you are. But in reality, real growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from ability to be in a new setting, and one could say it's discomfort. Not that I want to align with that reality, but it is very uncomfortable because it's like you're not familiar with it. And when you're not familiar with something, it feels like your entire world is collapsing, especially if you want to possess this new identity that you have.
The truth of the matter is, we live by the philosophy of winning. Here, take it in.
Proof of concept.
Take it in. And if your 5-year-old self, thank you for the support. If your 5-year-old self is not standing on the stage after winning every tournament she entered, if your 5-year-old self is not standing and winning every tournament with her hands in the air like the victorious legend she was born to be, then what are you doing? Because that is your inner self. What is that?
It's just the house being the house. Makes so many noises. I had to get to a point in my life where I said, God, Allah, whatever you believe in, universe, I need some hope. And Michelle Obama's documentary, her book Becoming, she said that all hope is the belief that things could possibly be different. That's all hope is. It's the belief that maybe there's a chance, a tiny, tiny chance that there could be change. And I literally had to go on Google and to say, please, for God's sake, give me the most inspirational movies you can ever possibly think of. And Dead Poets Society was one of them. And that every day coming to a place to be like, I believe that change can occur. I believe that change can occur within me. I believe that change can occur within others. But more importantly, I have the strength to show up as a different person today. And people might not recognize you. You might not recognize you. But at the end of the day, your soul needs to recognize who you want to be and what your dreams and aspirations are. And when you do that, you will honor yourself and you'll honor that, and everything else will follow and flow. And that's all I have to say.
Wow.
Thank you, KB, so much. I watched the Dead Poets Society last night, and did I not expect that? I mean, if you've seen the Dead Poets Society, basically there's this teacher who's a legend who challenges conformity and for people to be free thinkers. And when this free thinker, this legend, basically starts to pursue acting, he does, and his soul almost like gets so into it, and his passion, and his father's like, absolutely not. You're going to go to Harvard, you're going to go to medical school, you're going to do all this stuff. And I'm sure every Asian, brown, immigrant person can relate to this one. If you are not that and you relate, good for you. He went and he signed up for the play. His father said no. He broke the rules and wrote his own letter. And after he wrote his own letter to basically get permission from his dad because he was in high school, the night before opening, his dad was like, you can't go. And he was heartbroken. He goes to his teacher, the nonconformist, and he's like, hey, like, I don't know what to do. Like, my dad's not letting me do this. And he goes, you have to talk to your dad. See the glitch in him that almost happens when he goes and tells his teacher, like, hey, like, his teacher goes, did you talk to your dad the next day? And he's like, yeah, I did. Just, he's not going to be here, but gotta study. He's not going to be here. Like, he's almost like a bot at that point. And he goes, and all his friends go to support him at the play, and he doesn't think his dad's going to be there. And it's Midsummer Night's Dream, and right now it's literally the summer solstice. He goes, and he is the most spectacular moment in his play. He has a true knack for acting. Even when his dad comes at the very end, he does not allow that to disrupt his artist journey. And in his artist journey, when he's really performing and he's doing these things, he comes back, and his dad, at the end, he smiles at him the last time you see him smiling in the entire movie. And at the very end of the movie, it's the last time you see him smile, and his dad goes at home, whatever acting, schmacting you're doing or whatever journey you're trying to follow is not going to work here. We have done so much to put you into this private school and all this stuff. You're going to be transferred to a military school. His mom's crying in the background with maybe no agency to actually have an opinion or just isn't doing it. And then he goes, do you have anything you want to tell me about how you're feeling? Like really dramatically in a fight. And the son goes, he goes, I feel nothing. And it's the moment because you can see his entire identity changing because his dad's like, for the next 10 years, you're going to be in prison. You don't get any choice. You don't get any agency. You don't get to fulfill any of your creative acts. And it's this feeling where he's like, I'm done. And then what he says in the next part is that I was good. And one would think immediately he was talking about the play, which he was brilliant in, but he was a good son. He was a good friend. He was a good student. He was a good humanitarian person who just always uplifted everyone. But at the end, being good meant nothing. It meant nothing because being good did nothing for him. And trigger warning, it's just like he ended up taking his own life. But at the end of the day, it's like that same trickle down of like not being able to go into your creative act and pursue your passions and feeling like you're controlled, even when you're the happiest person on the outward, will dictate your entire life. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to fight for yourself. It's hard, it's challenging, it's easy, maybe it's not. But if you're a good person, you have to be good to yourself first. And in being a good person, you cannot fucking put someone else's comfort above your own. You cannot, because it will kill you, it will destroy you, and at the end of the day, you have to save yourself first before you can save anyone else. Just trust me on that. Save yourself first before you save anyone else, and then you can come back. But if you don't address the demon inside of you in the darkness, and you don't address that, and you don't come back and be like, who am I? How am I showing up in the world, and what am I doing? And then it's a mirror is pointing to you that you get to go to your deathbed and you regret every moment. And I never want to feel it again. So every time I forget this moment, I forget the time that I need to show up for myself. I need to pursue this creative journey. I need to do it all. I've been a good daughter. I've been a good sister. I've been a good cousin. I've been a good niece. I've been a good friend. I've been a good everything. It didn't matter. I need to be good to myself. And I hope that if you're hearing this, that you are good to yourself too, and you remember the power of actually doing that. So I just Googled Taania Khan, and what do we see? Such icon. Oh my God. Is this what we're looking for? It's so exciting. I love going on Taania's Substack. Paul Graham put out an essay, and Miss Taania here sent it to me, Natasha. And it said, how to become a billionaire. And the first thing it talked about was your actual individual growth rate as a person, your personal growth. You get to go back all the way until you were a tiny tot, and you get to ask yourself, how have I grown? And how have I become now as a person?
And Paul Graham is one of the founders of this basically incubator of startups called Y Combinator. And in this essay, he talks about how the success of any company can really be measured by, number one, the company's growth rate, and then number two, how big the market is. AKA, how fast are you growing and do people like it? To just simplify it. Like, it's not rocket science, but a lot of these terms that come out of Silicon Valley and these places, they feel big and they feel foreign, but they're really not. And so I'm going to link the essay below because I would urge anyone just to simply read it. Not because you have to start a company, not because you have to have some billion-dollar idea, but because it changes your perspective on things. My sister has something to say. My sister is going to read you one of the best essays I've ever read in my entire life. And you better be nice.
No bias.
I'm watching you. Anyways, that was the first essay that I wrote. And it was really vulnerable to write, to post, and to share. Not with you guys now in this moment. Get you a support system like that. And now it's something that I feel so naturally sharing because it came from a point in my life where there was so much grief in changing because your internal world reflects your external world, but you can't be that surprised when your external world starts to change. And I think that's where the grief comes in because you're like, oh my God, I want all these things. But the same person cannot take you to the places you wish to go. Like, you have to be a different person, and that person will come with different spaces, rooms, maybe even people, relationships in your life. And I think that's the quiet grief of growth and change that's not often talked about.
First, I'd like to acknowledge that when she read me that essay for the first time, it actually literally brought me to tears, because I think that if you're brave enough to want change and you're courageous enough to actually implement that change and make those changes in your life, it will feel like you're losing something. It will feel like you're losing people. It'll feel like you're losing who you are. But in reality, real growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from like the ability to be in a new setting, and one could say it's discomfort. Not that I want to align to that reality, but it is very uncomfortable because it's like you're not familiar with it. And when you're not familiar with something, it feels like your entire world is collapsing, especially if you want to possess this new identity that you have. And in doing that work, writing and really just going inward on yourself and who you are and the people you surround yourself with and what you're willing to actually do to get there is an entire other story. One time me and Taania went to this property and it was called the Winter Circle. It was in Napa and it was actually one of the most gorgeous properties we've ever been to. We've talked about it before. If you're an OG Khancept listener, you would know this. But it was I swear to God, I walked in and I was like mesmerized by real estate. And I'm in real estate. She's in real estate. We've seen a lot of real estate. And it felt like heaven had been put on this field and this luxurious, gorgeous vineyard. And the title of the property's name was the Winter Circle. And we adopted this mentality where if you have the Winter Circle, which I've now learned as a young chap, is always changing, it's always evolving, it's always growing, because your frequency is constantly changing. And it's not a crime to have different people around you. No one is bad, no one is good, no one is like, you're not making someone an evil villain because you're deciding to change. And sometimes that actually keeps a space for people to be in it, but sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay too. Like, it's okay to like exist as a human being. It's okay to be who you are, and it's okay to actually want to grow. And it's okay to look at your life and be like, what works here and what doesn't? And then also, doors open, doors close, people walk through them, and people come back to them. People come into your life, people come out of your life. One friend from business school, actually, while we were in the Poconos Mountains, she said something very valuable to me. She said that, Natasha, we're all just passing. We're all just passing one another. And there's so much truth in that. If you actually think about every single human being you connected with, how many times have you met? Are they constantly in your life? Are they constantly not? Or have they changed your life in any way, shape, or form? But in the reality, they just were passing through. And if you accept people and souls as passing through your life, I feel like it just like really detaches you in a way that you don't expect, but you allow to just be. And then you can move and go through your life and understand what's happening in such a calmer way, because everyone's just passing, including you. There's no more, you can detach. And when you're detached, you feel like so free. And I guess freedom is really the end of the day what I really want. So
that was really beautifully said. And the thing is that it's easier said than done, because I've had so many, and by the way, relationships are not simply romantic. They're friendships, they're familial relationships, they're coworker relationships. Like, there's just such a breadth of what a relationship means. And when relationships start to drift, I have this analogy actually that I think that the universe, God, whatever you believe in, source, the divine, it will take you to a point where it'll kind of give you this nudge of, hey, and it's almost a sign of, hey, from a perspective of self-worth, like maybe this isn't the best for you. And sometimes in order to get some dynamic out of your life, if you're not listening to the signs, the universe will take you to a cliff, and it will eventually, I think it's an analogy like, here's the cliff, right? This mic. Wait, can you put your fist right here? So no, maybe a thumbs up instead. So this thumbs up is you, okay? And this is the cliff. And with each sign, this thumb will move you like one step closer to the cliff, right? Until you're just not listening, and then it takes you all the way to the end of the cliff. And then this person or this dynamic will do something so out of pocket that you have no choice but to let go of it. And I think oftentimes I've been thrown off the cliff so many times, and I've also listened to the signals before I've been thrown off the cliff, and it's really a learning lesson for me, and I hope not to be thrown off off the cliff anymore, but I have been. And it was brutal and it hurt, but it got me out of dynamics that I didn't need to be in anymore. And so when you start to like really get into that vibration of when this relationship ends or this dynamic goes away or I start to grow and this is changing, instead of going down the path of blaming yourself, which obviously self-reflection is important and not to be like everyone else is at fault, not me. But it's not about you're at fault versus I'm at fault. If you can just in your deepest part of your being know that different versions of you require different things in your life, you will start to give yourself the grace of knowing that it was never about them or me. It was just we have different. There's a quote that my friend, and it's something about, people come into your life for a reason or a season. And I think there's one more. I don't remember it.
Pause. I think that is a very famous quote where people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And obviously it's not you put people in the categories because you know as it happens. But I think as you reflect, you can really understand what is occurring there. And when you can reflect on that and be like, oh, wow, they were really here for a reason. Like, well, fucked up of a reason, but they were there. Or a really good or an excellent reason, right?
Me, the optimist, or
like a
maybe it was a good
reason. Or, you can tell, because I think that real friendship, and this varies, but you can love people in the different places that you are as they grow and change. And what that means is that some days, some years, you might talk every single day. But some years you may talk once a year or every 2 years. And it's like seriously, like when you get married, you have kids, you go to school, you don't go to school, you get divorced, someone passes away. Like there's so much cycles of life that come into it that if you can accept people as they are, that is the standstill long-term of a friendship. Because I've experienced it, I've seen it. There are different seasons and reasons, and that can evolve and change all the time. But if you're willing to accept people as they come with your own expectations of what you believe to be true for yourself and your value system and whatever it is for your winner circle, you will recognize that letting go of that and detaching from what you believe your expectation should be of someone and allow them to just exist and change and come and go from your life as they please with obviously calmness and peace, your friendships will last a very long time.
And just remember that I want to also explain, there's sides to the pendulum swing. We have lived on the side that we moved around a lot, throughout our lives. So the nature of even children with no technology at the time, because we were in that pre-technology era as well as that post-technology era, there was no way to hold on to relationships if you weren't physically in the neighborhood playing like Foursquare in the neighborhood with them.
Until you discovered 10 years later they were on Facebook and you're like,
that was when
Facebook
came out in 2009 actually. We joined
grown.
Right when they joined because we were little kiddos sitting in Pakistan.
Oh my, I remember the moment that mom let us actually join. It was like, Beta, you can make a Facebook account.
I think she just felt bad for us. We were so depressed. She was like, you know what,
you're so isolated. You know what? Pull
up on Facebook, baby. And my
it'll change your life. It'll change your life. Insert some statuses right here. I have to go back. I deactivated it, but
no, I'll reactivate it just to bring the statuses back because some of them were like, people are so petty in this world. Like that queen was unfiltered.
Wait, I think this version of me needs to go back and read my Facebook statuses and Tania's and my mom's because they were savage and I think they were just the truth.
I think I skipped the part where you subtweet people and you just straight up tag them and be like, what's the problem? And the idea of posting on people's walls your public personal information just out there, I was looking back at that, I'm like, wow, we're really talking about full guys that we have crushes on in 9th grade just publicly on the walls, as if they're not also Facebook friends.
Get you the confidence of poking someone randomly just on Facebook and graffiti. Imagine going to someone's wall. What is a wall? Finding their wall, literally if you physically envision it, and then graffitiing something you like about them or don't like about them, and then publicly letting everyone see it. That is, you know what?
Honestly, as a society, we talk about how chivalry, well, I don't talk about it because I don't really resonate to that reality, but I've seen it. We talk about how chivalry is dead. Yeah, because we made a poke button for guys when they like you to just poke you on Facebook. What?
Don't fucking touch me. Back to long story long, which you can always spend time to listen to it. I think that you're safe to know that if you are making changes in your life, you get to reflect and look at what is happening in your life. And number 2 is you don't have to make everything about you the same way that you don't have to make other people's reactions to you about you. I was sitting here and I had all of these things called rackets, which I went to this really brilliant self-development conference. God bless myself for going when I was 21. And they basically talked about these things called rackets. And it's stories you put on other people that don't actually exist, but you kind of create this idea. Maybe they do, right? But it's more, it gives you freedom to be yourself. And so it's like you put a story on someone. For example, Taania could be like in a great mood or something, right? Or she could be in not a great mood. And it's like, I am like, oh, Taania is not in a great mood because I didn't make the bed this morning. Pretend, hypothetically. And it's like, I put a racket on her for not being in a great mood because I didn't make the bed. And it's like when you put rackets on people, you're able to like be like, wait, hold on, I'm putting a story on you that may or may not exist. I have no confirmation of, and it kind of ruminates in your head. So when you recognize that, you're able to just to be like, hold on, stop. I have this tool. I might be creating a story about you that may or may not be true. Intuition is a whole other conversation we'll talk about. But it's like I don't have to go do that. Taania can have her own mood, and we're gonna talk about that. Taania can have her. Oh my god, should we do a fucking book club?
That's what I was saying.
On fucking YouTube?
Yeah, we should do a book club where we read a chapter. We're like, oh, we just read chapter 1 of this book.
Oh my god, and I
Like,
really...
we're gonna start our book club because this book,
We're getting real fast.
it needs to be discussed. I have it on the Kindle. I have a large version, and then I bought this travel copy I bought it at a bookstore in Tribeca, actually, that my good friend showed me. The most beautiful little bookstore. And I was reading it, and now I'm in the middle of a jungle.
It's not in Tribeca. It's actually in Seaport. I'll have to correct you.
Okay, it's whatever.
And it's truly magic.
Okay, it's in
Don't
Seaport,
go there.
like,
Don't pollute it.
Okay. Anyways,
We're going to have a book club.
We're gonna have a book club. So now that
we hope you'll join us. And if you don't, we'll still be having the book club because we'll be
regardless of you, we're gonna have a book club.
But
So,
we'd love to have you join.
you are talking to the winners of the Summer Scholastic Book Fair reading competition. So best believe we're gonna have a book club.
If you're like,
Also, if you're growing, by the way, and you all of a sudden like make yourself the center of your own world, and there will be times, it's 11:07 p.m. by the way. In
lunchtime.
high school, it was lunchtime for us, so we gotta just make sure, and we are eating. The thing is that also when you're growing, part of growth is focusing on yourself, whatever that means for you. People are gonna come to you in your life, maybe who are like offended by the idea of you growing, possibly, and they're gonna be like, oh my god, you're so self-obsessed, and the only thing you have to be like is like, who do you want me to be obsessed with? Like, why would I be obsessed with anyone but myself? Like, you should be the center of your own world, and not in a narcissistic way, because narcissism is not self-love, that's self-loathing.
It's not cute.
But in a way that's, you genuinely are like, I am the center of my own world. I live to serve me. And obviously, you can definitely be generous and loving to others as you should be, but it cannot come from an empty cup, because you cannot
and it cannot
pour,
come
wait,
at the cost of yourself.
Yes, because you cannot pour from an empty cup.
You want to hold my hand?
So, actually, yeah. So may your cup always overflow, and that's what you can give from, but you have to make sure you are taken
Inshallah.
care of first. And I think a lot of women have been like psychologically trained to, like, I read a letter from someone in my life who thankfully is not in my life anymore. And in this letter, I don't know why I didn't register back in the day. And I read this letter, and they go, you know what I love about you? I love how you take care of people before you take care of yourself.
That's fucking crazy.
I was like, Shawty, what? Are you on crack today? Like, you love when I don't put myself first, aka I'm pouring from a broken, empty cup. AKA that's not good for anyone in society. AKA that's not self-love. Like, I wasn't in my self-love era then. If I was pouring from empty cup, putting everyone above, and I'm guilty of it. People pleaser number one. And
Someone called Judge Judy.
because this people pleaser has
She's
left
guilty.
the building. Oh. This people pleaser, thank you so much for that. This people pleaser has left the building.
Judge Judy, I don't know why. She just was like, I know whatever who she is isn't relevant to me. As a kid,
she kind of is
irritated
relevant.
me.
Okay, but she was like on TV, so it's okay. She wasn't worried about you though. She might, that's the thing about haters. Like,
I'm not a hater.
I mean, to Judge Judy, you might be right. Like, Listen. The thing about, I'm not talking about you now. The thing about haters,
like
but
you
I mean,
fucking are.
Listen, if the shoe fits, right? Like if you take it personally, and if the shoe fits, that's your journey. That's literally not our journey. But if the shoe fits, like Judge Judy is on TV being a baddie judge. Meanwhile, like this little kid in North Carolina sitting here like, I hate Judge Judy. Like she's not pressed because you're still talking about it because PR is PR still at the end of the day. Okay, so we just gotta put it out there.
I won't go into the deeper parts of why I didn't like her.
Yeah, we didn't ask you to. I don't think she's worried either. Like, anyways, thanks for listening, KBs. We love you.
And by thanks, I mean you should be thanking us. Hey, legends. You're at Tea Time with Tosh. And I just need you to know that the time for tea is not really here, but a time for wine is.